Good morning, greetings friends, and welcome to The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to the understanding of the vast world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. I'm your host, Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I use nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs and sometimes deadly medical procedures. If you suspect that there are natural nutritional roads to your vitality and health and well-being and to addressing your health challenges, whatever they may be, but you don't know where to begin, you have come to the right place. As you listen to The Bright Side every day, you are more and more in control of your body. You are more and more knowledgeable, and you know you can overcome any health challenge. That is why we are here every day on The Bright Side, helping clear up the sometimes confusing world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Over the last 31 years of practicing pharmacy, I have seen drug-free recoveries from diabetes, hypertension, obesity, skin diseases like psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, acne, digestive ailments, autoimmune issues of all kinds. Recoveries that by the standards of modern medicine can only be called a miracle, but what is in the world of the body, what is in the world of biology, standard operating procedure. Because the human biological system is a healing system, it's a regenerating system, it is designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis, and while some folks may call that healing, renewing, regenerating system a miracle, it really is just the way the body works. If you have questions about health or nutrition or prescription drugs, we are here for you. We welcome your phone calls at 844-236-6010. That's 844-236-6010. If you have questions about the longevity products, longevity business, formulations, ingredients, something you may have heard about or read about, if you have questions about our Truth Skin Health products, or if you have a success story you'd like to share, or if you just want to contribute to the conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number. If we left you on hold yesterday or any time in the past, please call back and tell our call screener, and we'll get you first up at 844-236-6010. If you want to purchase any of the longevity products you hear advertised or recommended on The Bright Side, head over to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. You can purchase longevity products right off the website. Our Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Ultimate Selenium, Ultimate Niacin, Ultimate Nightly Essence, Fucoid Z, they're all up at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. You can also sign up to join the Brightside Ben team for a one-time $25 fee. If you're an entrepreneur, if you like the entrepreneur lifestyle, if you want to make your own hours and help people while you're earning a living, as little money or as much money as you'd like to make, it's all up to you. That's the benefits of being an entrepreneur. For a one-time $25 fee, you can start yourself a business. Call 866-735-2470. That's 866-735-2470 for more information. You can also sign up from the websites, brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. Also want to remind you to check out our Truth Skin Health products at truthtreatments.com, including our award-winning Truth Serum, voted one of the top 150 products in the world by Harper's Bazaar magazine. That's in the May edition of Harper's Bazaar magazine. You can find our Truth Serum, Truth Balm, Truth Omega-6 Healing Cream, and Truth Retinol 5% Gel up at truthtreatments.com. We also have a skin health blog at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. Okay, welcome back to The Bright Side. We've been talking about MSG, a form of the amino acid glutamic acid or glutamate. MSG is actually an artificial form of glutamate. Glutamate's a natural brain chemical. It's said to be an excitatory brain chemical. It makes the brain happy, makes the brain excited. Technically, MSG is said to be an excitotoxin because it doesn't just make the brain excited, but it does it in this unnatural, out-of-balance way that throws off the brain's very tightly regulated balance of excitement and non-excitement, or excitement and inhibition. Whether we perform an activity or not, whether our brain fires or stimulates some kind of behavior or action or not, is kind of a balance between brain excitement and brain inhibition, between excitatory biochemistry and inhibitory biochemistry. And glutamates are the quintessential excitatory biochemical in the brain chemical. And glutamate is found in quite abundant amounts, or at least relatively abundant amounts. It's found in the brain. There's more glutamate in the brain than any other neurotransmitter. It's still around, it's still only in the brain in very small concentrations, but nonetheless, there's more glutamate than there are other neurotransmitters. And when its concentration rises artificially, like when we get it as a food additive, nerve cells become super excitable and ultimately overstimulated. They don't fire as they would under normal conditions because they're super sensitized. MSG sensitizes nerve cells, or glutamate sensitizes nerve cells. And this can lead to a whole range of neurological issues. Glutamate imbalances have been linked to autism disorders, ADD, and hyperactivity in children, ALS, Parkinson's disease, that's amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or Lou Gehrig's disease, Parkinson's disease, Tourette's syndrome, and various palsies, Bell's palsies, dementias, chronic fatigue. It's been linked to OCD, obsessive compulsive disorders, excuse me, bipolar disorders, anxiety disorders, rocking and pacing behaviors. They call it STIMs, self-stimulatory behaviors. Repetitive self-stimulatory behaviors, pacing, body spinning, rocking, repeating phrases. These are all kinds of strange brain phenomena that can be linked to excitability of nerves caused by glutamate toxicity. Mercury toxicity has been shown to be enhanced by high levels of glutamate, which can be caused by MSG. Too much glutamate can cause an increase in white blood cells. That can lead to inflammation, impaired blood circulation in the brain. That can cause migraines, blood pressure problems. It can affect areas of the brain that are associated with speech and language. A whole host of brain issues can be caused by excessive ingestion of glutamates, mostly via these excitotoxins that are found in food, via MSG that is artificially inserted into food to make us eat more of that food. That's sneaky business, nasty business. The brain is a complex organ, and our actions and our behaviors are the end result of a whole cascade of biochemical reactions. To simplify this complexity, and it is incredibly complex, the brain is the most complex living system on the planet, in the universe probably. To simplify it, the actions that we take, the behaviors that we take, the behaviors we participate in are the end result of this balance between excitation and inhibition. Excitation is controlled by excitatory chemicals, and it's supposed to be balanced by inhibitory chemicals. MSG and food additives throw that balance off. An excitation or excitatory activity, excitatory stimulation means a behavior is going to happen. Inhibition means it won't. And whether we actually do something or we don't do something is controlled by a balance of these two types of chemicals. Natural glutamine in the brain is excitatory. The balancing chemical for glutamine is GABA, G-A-B-A, which we've talked about a lot on this program. Glutamine activates, enhances, turns things on. GABA suppresses and inhibits. That's why GABA, as we've talked about many times in this program, is helpful for folks who have problems sleeping, people who have seizure disorders. It's like a natural Valium. It's a natural relaxing substance. Good bacteria, probiotics, and bacteria in fermented foods make a form of GABA called butyric acid. Butyric acid is a short-chain fatty acid. We've talked about that in the past. Butyric acid is actually, GABA is actually a form of butyric acid. The supplement that you buy, GABA, is a form of this short-chain fatty acid. GABA stands for gamma amino butyric acid. It means it just has a little amino group, a little nitrogen group on top of butyric acid. It's basically the same thing. GABA is a type of butyric acid, a type of fatty acid. Butyric acid is found in butter. We get the term butter. The word butter comes from the butyric acid content of butter. If you're thinking, oh, butter's got some relaxing properties, yes, it does. The ketogenic diet will enhance or stimulate the secretion of butyric acid. Does the ketogenic diet have some relaxing properties? Absolutely. The ketogenic diet helps you produce a type of GABA. On the other hand, glutamate is found in high-protein foods. Glutamate is found in dairy, especially whey protein is a really good source of glutamate. Meat, fish, eggs, if you're a vegan, beans and legumes are good sources of glutamate. And if you're worried about MSG toxicity, if you have a child who's got autism disorder, or if you're noticing that you get migraines after you eat certain foods, if you're especially sensitive to MSG, you can use GABA supplements to help dampen some of the effects of glutamate toxicity, of MSG toxicity. Get your GABA either as a supplement, or you can use whey protein. Also, pretty much all high protein foods can have an anti-MSG effect, or at least MSG dampening effect. There's another really cool supplement, one of my all-time favorite supplements, that will also help balance MSG. We'll talk about that when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You are listening to The Bright Side. 844-236-6010 is our number. Wednesday. We are back on the bright side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. We have lines open. 844-236-6010. If you have questions about anything we're speaking about here today, MSG, excitotoxicity, dementias, which we're going to be talking about here momentarily, 844-236-6010 is our number. If you have questions about the longevity products or business or Truth Skin Health products, if you have a success story you'd like to share, or if you just want to contribute to our conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number on the bright side. If you want to purchase longevity products, head over to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. Check out our websites. We got blogs and news stories and videos posted at all our websites, and of course you can purchase all the longevity products off our websites as well. You can also sign up to join the Brightside Ben team. If you want to start a business, if you're an entrepreneur, we can help you build your business. You can start it all off for $25, and we can help you build your business. I've done presentations around the country to help folks build their business. Call 866-735-2470 for more information. You can also sign up right off the websites, brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. Okay, so MSG toxicity. MSG, or glutamine, I should say glutamate. I always get that mixed up, glutamine and glutamate. Glutamate and glutamine are two separate amino acids. They are similar, they're similar, but they're have different functions in the body. Glutamate is an excitatory neurotransmitter. It's an amino acid that acts like a brain chemical to turn things on. It's balanced out by GABA. If you're concerned about MSG toxicity, if you've got a child who's got ADD, if you notice that you don't feel good after you eat certain foods, you might want to consider, well, it's best to eliminate foods that contain MSG, but if you think you're dealing with some kind of MSG toxicity, consider using GABA supplements, which are nature's natural balancing chemical, nature's natural glutamate balancing chemical. Also, my favorite non-essential supplement, I've been working with this one for a long time, is NAC, or NAC, N-acetylcysteine. There's so many wonderful health benefits to this stuff. It's not an essential nutrient. You can get by without supplementing with NAC, but if you're dealing with any toxicity issues, NAC is an incredible detox molecule. In fact, if you go to an emergency room with liver toxicity or liver poisoning, there's a good chance they'll put NAC right in your blood. The same NAC that you could buy in a health food store. I put NAC, N-acetylcysteine is what it stands for. I put it in my blemish repair complex supplement, which, by the way, if you're dealing with blemishes or if you're dealing with any liver toxicity, you want to check out our blemish repair complex. It's made with nutrients that support liver health as well as skin health, including NAC, N-acetylcysteine. NAC is a chelating agent if you're worried about mercury toxicity or heavy metal toxicity or any toxicity, including alcohol. NAC is wonderful for dealing with a hangover. Taking NAC before you go out drinking can prevent a hangover. Taking NAC after you indulge in too much alcohol can help prevent the toxicity associated with alcohol. And NAC is also shown to be protective against excitotoxicity that's associated with MSG, monosodium glutamate. We said yesterday that MSG, excitotoxicity, was not really recognized until the 1970s, some 70 years after MSG was first discovered by Japanese scientists. They were like, well, stuff just an amino acid, it can't be all that bad. Well, it turns out that there is MSG excitotoxicity, or there is excitotoxicity that is associated with MSG ingestion. And we didn't know about this until the 1970s when a number of studies were published in various scientific journals that showed a direct link between consumption of MSG and various health challenges, especially something called CRS, or Chinese Restaurant Syndrome. Chinese Restaurant Syndrome is the term that's given to the headaches and the dizziness and the jitteriness and the strange feelings that are associated with eating too much Chinese food. Now, they don't do it as much. They don't put MSG in Chinese food as much anymore. In fact, a lot of Chinese restaurants will have signs up that say no MSG. Nonetheless, up until very recently, MSG was used quite commonly in Chinese food, and Chinese Restaurant Syndrome officially became a thing back in the 1970s, and MSG ended up being a poster child for the negative health consequences of processed foods. And this is when we started to discover the idea of excitotoxicity. Didn't even know that word until the 1980s. The job of MSG is to make foods that are not so flavorful really flavorful. Make you want to eat foods that you wouldn't ordinarily eat. Because vegetables that have been chemically manipulated, i.e. hydrolyzed, hydrolyzation is a form of chemical manipulation. When you hydrolyze vegetables, you release glutamate. When you hydrolyze or process vegetables, you release glutamate, and sometimes manufacturers will use these hydrolyzed vegetables or hydrolyzed vegetable protein as a source of glutamate, and you'll see this on the ingredient deck. It'll say hydrolyzed vegetable protein. What that is basically just a vegetable, some kind of vegetable matter that has been chemically processed, and the glutamate has been released, and they'll put hydrolyzed vegetable protein on the ingredient deck because it sounds a lot less intimidating than MSG. Everybody knows about MSG, and pretty much a lot of people anyway, if they see MSG on a label, aren't going to buy that product. So food manufacturers have gotten very clever, and they'll use hydrolyzed vegetable protein as a disguised term for MSG. Sometimes you'll see hydrolyzed yeast for the same reason. If you hydrolyze yeast, if you chemically process yeast, you release glutamate. So sometimes food processors will put hydrolyzed yeast. If you see hydrolyzed vegetable protein or hydrolyzed yeast on your ingredient deck, chances are pretty good you're dealing with MSG. Now, glutamate is not just a food additive. It's important to recognize that. We hear about glutamate and glutamate toxicity and monosodium glutamate. It's not just a food additive. It is a naturally occurring substance. It's found in high-protein foods, and it's something that we need. It's just that you got to be careful about ingesting too much of it. But it's a very important chemical. It's a very important amino acid. You'll find it in high-protein foods, fermented foods, aged foods, soy sauce, bean paste, tomatoes, mushrooms, cheese. These will all have a certain amount of glutamate in them. Food scientists believe that we actually consume a lot more glutamate than we do MSG, some 20 to 40 times more naturally occurring glutamate in the standard American diet than MSG. So we get a lot of glutamate. It's the MSG component. It's the artificial ingestion of glutamate that's the problem. When you get glutamate in foods, you're getting it balanced with other amino acids. When you take straight MSG, there's no balance there, and you're getting a high concentration of just one substance. That's where the problems arise from. And glutamate is a big problem. Glutamate toxicity, I should say, is a big problem. It's been implicated, by the way, in many dementias, particularly in Alzheimer's disease. According to a February 2005 article published in the American Journal of Alzheimer's Disease and Other Dementias, quote, the hypothesis that glutamate-mediated neurotoxicity is involved in Alzheimer's disease is finding more acceptance in the scientific community, unquote. More and more scientists are beginning to link Alzheimer's disease, the genesis of Alzheimer's disease, at least partially, to glutamate toxicity. And this theory of the relationship between glutamate and Alzheimer's disease has led to the development of a whole new class of drugs that are supposed to treat dementias by blocking the effect of glutamate on the brain. If you've heard of the drug memantine, a brand name Namenda, sometimes you'll see that advertised. Namenda is the first of this new class of glutamate-blocking drugs that are used to treat Alzheimer's disease. And unfortunately, it doesn't really do much because you can't really treat Alzheimer's disease with a drug. Supposedly, it improves cognition and reduces confusion, but it doesn't work very well because you can't treat dementias pharmacologically any more than you can treat any other long-term chronic health challenge pharmacologically. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. You're listening to The Bright Side. We will return right after this. Back on The Bright Side. Thanks for joining us. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time, 24/7 on the archive pages at brightsideben.com and benfuchsarchives.com. Thank you to Peter in the UK for setting that up, benfuchsarchives.com. Yeah, we have search engines up on both websites, brightsideben.com and benfuchsarchives.com. You can also purchase longevity products off brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. You can also sign up to join the Brightside Ben team off the websites, or you can call our phone team at 866-735-2470. That's 866-735-2470. Our number today, 844-236-6010. That's 844-236-6010. If we left you on hold yesterday or any time in the past, tell our call screener. We'll get you first up at 844-236-6010. If you have questions about MSG or Alzheimer's dementias or anything we're talking about here today, or if you have a success story you'd like to share, or if you just want to contribute to our conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number. Hang on if you're on hold. We'll get to here in just a moment. Got a couple interesting stories. This one is from the journal Blood. I love this idea. Balancing warfarin and vitamin K. 70 warfarin-treated patients with fluctuating INRs. The INR test is a measurement of clotting, and it does normally fluctuate. 70 warfarin-treated patients with fluctuating INRs were treated with supplemental vitamin K. More patients achieved stable control of their INRs and anticoagulation, that is blood thinning, in the vitamin K group than in the placebo group. In other words, vitamin K supported the action of warfarin, stabilized the blood thinning effect of warfarin. This is so important because almost everybody who's given a blood thinner, which, by the way, are the I don't want to say a good case could be made that they are the nastiest of all pharmacological agents. I mean, there's a lot of really nasty drugs, but blood thinning drugs are near or at the top. And people who get these drugs are typically told not only not to use vitamin K supplements, just not to take supplements in general, not to even eat vegetables that contain vitamin K. This is one of the stupidest things medical people say. Not to eat your green leafy vegetables because the vitamin K may interfere with your warfarin. Okay, they mean well. It's still stupid. I don't want to attack a whole group of professionals who really do mean well, but it's still stupid to say not to eat green leafy vegetables because it'll interfere with your warfarin. Stupid, stupid, stupid. For one thing, vitamin K, there's a lot of things in green leafy vegetables in addition to vitamin K that are important for cardiovascular health and important for the health of the circulatory system. For another thing, vitamin K is involved in a lot more than just blood clotting, and if you avoid vitamin K, you're not going to have vitamin K for your bones. You're not going to have vitamin K for your calcium metabolism. You're not going to have vitamin K for your digestive system. You're not going to have vitamin K for anything that vitamin K does. So how a medical professional can tell you to avoid a vitamin, not to use a vitamin when you're taking a drug, it's unbelievably stupid. It's not just ordinarily stupid, it's unbelievably stupid. And on top of that, now we find that vitamin K will actually help your warfarin work better when it comes to blood thinning. And you know what? That's a general rule. Nutrients help drugs work better. I get this question a lot. Most of us here in the health business, in the nutrition business, get this question a lot. Oh, will my supplements interfere with my drugs? No, they will not interfere with your drugs, with some rare exceptions. They will enhance the activity of your drugs because they'll make you stronger. They'll make you give you more of what you were taking the drugs for. So if you take an antihypertensive, a blood pressure drug, and you use supplements, you're going to get better blood pressure control. If you take a drug for your arrhythmia, and you use magnesium and carnitine and coenzyme Q10, you're going to have better control of your arrhythmia, which means you'll be able to wean yourself off your medications. Nutrients help your drugs work more effectively. And there is never a time when you do not want to use nutritional supplementation. There is never a time when you do not want to eat a food because it contains a vitamin that may supposedly interfere with your drug. All right. From the Journal of Clinical Pharmacology, study reveals level of magnesium sulfate to prevent cerebral palsy in preterm infants. They use magnesium sulfate in preemie babies to prevent cerebral palsy. But what this shows me is that magnesium itself, as a nutrient, may help prevent birth defects in preterm babies, or may help prevent birth defects in the womb. Preemies obviously are at higher risk for all kinds of problems. And moms who do not supplement, moms who do not use nutritional supplements when they're building the baby are at risk for having babies that are going to be dealing with some kind of health challenge. And by the way, it could be something as simple as eating the wrong kinds of foods, as we find in this article that was published yesterday in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Pregnancy diet high in refined grains could increase kids' obesity by age 7. Children born to women with diabetes whose diet included high proportions of refined grains, that is cereals and breads and pastas and rice, may have higher risk of obesity by age 7. That means moms, When you're building a baby, you got to be super, super careful about what you're eating. You got to be very vigilant about supplementation. You got to do all the things we all have to do, except you have to do it with extra awareness and extra care. Moms who are building babies are very dependent, their babies are very dependent on omega-3 fatty acids, for example. We know that babies from moms who supplemented with omega-3 fatty acids are smarter. They have better hand-eye coordination. Moms who are building a baby should be supplementing with iodine. Moms who are building a baby should be supplementing with vitamin C. Moms who are building a baby should just be supplementing with everything. That's why they give you prenatal vitamins, except we know that prenatal vitamins are all based on the RDAs, the recommended daily allowance, or as I like to call them, the ridiculous deficiency allowance. So you need a lot more than you're going to get from a lot more supplementation, a lot more nutrients than you're going to get from your prenatal vitamins. It's especially important to keep your blood sugar under control. If you're eating a lot of sweets, or if your blood sugar is not under control because you're a diabetic, you run higher risks of having a baby who is going to have blood sugar problems, dysglycemia, as the baby gets older, and a much higher risk, at least according to this article in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, of having an obese child by the age of 7. Okay. 844-236-6010 is our number. Let us go to West Virginia and welcome Curtis to the bright side. Good morning, Curtis. How you doing?
Well, good morning. This isn't the first time I've talked to you, but I've got to compliment on something you did this week.
Okay.
Monday or Tuesday, you answered a question that I have asked physicians for years. Why do I run 97.5 body temperature all the time? And you answered that the other day. And
Yeah? Remind me what I said. I don't remember that question.
Well, you were saying that 98.6 was normal. Anything over that, there's something wrong. If you run lower body temperature, like 97.5, you may have a thyroid problem, which also controls your pituitary gland, hypothalamus gland, and adrenal gland.
I don't remember talking about that, but that is a sign of hypothyroidism, absolutely, if your body temperature. Your physicians didn't tell you that?
No, nobody's told me that for many, 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 many years, more than you have time to hear about.
That's interesting, because that's the Barnes. I think you're talking about the Barnes temperature test for hypothyroidism, and that was last week, I think, when we talked about that. Yeah, you can take your body temperature, and if you run chronically low, especially first thing in the morning, that's when you want to do it, a good chance you're hypothyroid. Hey, Curtis, I hate to do this to you, buddy, but we got to take a break, so hang on, okay?
I got a question.
Well, we're coming up to a commercial, so hang on. After the commercial, we'll get you, okay? Don't go away, Curtis. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll return right after this. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben, and we do have lines open. 844-236-6010 is our number. If you have questions about anything we've spoken about here today, or anything we've spoken about any time on The Bright Side, MSG or dementias, or our Truth Skin Health products, which you can find out all about at truthtreatments.com, or Truth Serum, Truth Balm, Truth Omega-6 Healing Cream, and Truth Retinol 5% Gel. They're all up at truthtreatments.com. We also have a skin health blog up as well at truthtreatments.com. You can also purchase longevity products at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. We're talking to Curtis in West Virginia. It's all you, my friend. So
okay.
Tell me what you got here. Hypothyroidism. Are you hypothyroid?
Well, I don't know yet, but I'm going to see one next week to test me for it. The question I had to ask you is, number one, I just took my 6th shot last night of testosterone in my leg, and I just dread doing it. I found out from a pharmacist here in town that you can take a pill a day through prescription that'll replace the testosterone, and you also can get a capsule in your side that automatically feed it into your body. What do you suggest?
Cream.
Better than those two yet?
I like the cream the best. Much more.
I do too, but my insurance company won't pay the money for it.
To compound the cream, it should be pretty cheap. I mean, testosterone is, Compounding pharmacists, I hate to say this because I was a compounding pharmacist, but sometimes they take advantage. Testosterone is ridiculously cheap. Cream is ridiculously cheap. I mean, the amount of testosterone that's in a standard, there's no standard really, but a typical 2-month or 1-month supply, the amount of testosterone is in there costs less than 2 cents. And the cream is another nickel. So you shouldn't pay more than 20 or 30 bucks. I know now they sell them for probably $60 or $70. And I hate to rip on my brethren, my compounding pharmacist brethren, but it's just not right. Testosterone is pretty cheap stuff. Now, you are playing with a little bit of fire when you supplement with hormones. So it's not necessarily it's not the best idea. Are you noticing anything from your from what you're using?
Yeah.
What are you noticing?
At the end of 2 weeks, I become mentally fatigued, feel completely weak. My joints hurt all over. I took that shot last night.
Yeah, you're a new man?
Shopping, I feel great. And
That's
I like
awesome.
the cream, but that's $600 for that one tube, and I just can't handle that.
Wait. $600 for a tube?
Yeah, it's called, my mind's slipping me right now. I went through my insurance company. They wouldn't touch it.
Well, that's ridiculous. Now, this isn't a compound. This is a brand product, like a pre-made product, or is it a compounded product? Is a pharmacist making it for you?
Do you sell it?
No. Let me ask you. I'm asking you: is the pharmacist making it for you, or is it a branded product in a box with a fancy label and all that stuff?
No, what I'm getting is in a
No, the cream you're talking about, that's $600. Is that something that's
the size of a toothpaste tube?
Is it compounded for you, or is it already pre-made by a company?
I didn't ask them.
Okay, ask for that sounds like something that's a branded product that's made in a factory somewhere. What you want to do is ask or find a compounding pharmacist. Are you in West Virginia, Curtis? Is that right?
Yeah, I'm in Kaiser.
In Kaiser, I'm not. Is that the name of the city, or are you using Kaiser Healthcare?
Oh, no, that's the name of the city, but Cumberland is where I've got a doctor that writes my prescriptions for testosterone.
You know, I don't know if do you have compounding pharmacies out there in Cumberland? That sounds like a little town somewhere.
No, but I'm going to be looking for them.
Yeah, look for a compounding pharmacist. Have them make it for you. It shouldn't cost you more than maybe $60, $70 a month, depending on how much testosterone they're using. I mean, that's really the best way to go, in my opinion. Now, if you can't, if your insurance company won't pay for it and that's a lot of money, you can't afford it, then you got to do what you got to do. And I do know a lot of people who get benefits from using testosterone. It is just playing with a little bit of fire. Make sure that you're using, if you're on testosterone supplements, make sure you're using, or testosterone hormone, make sure you're using supplements that help your body process that testosterone, including your ultimate EFAs, magnesium, copper, vitamin A and vitamin E, probably zinc will be helpful, and manganese, and all of those will be helpful for testosterone anyway. So you should be supplementing that way too. Keep your sugar intake down. Make sure you're losing body fat. Get yourself in the gym. These are great ways to not only support your own natural testosterone, but to allow you to use lower dose. As I was saying earlier about drugs, using supplements and using nutritional strategies will allow you to lower your dose of your drug, and that also includes testosterone and other hormones, which can be really, well, they can be beneficial, but they can also be problematic. So make sure you're using supplements to protect yourself and keeping your blood sugar down. Also, another thing is cortisol, stress hormone, will also negate some of the effects of testosterone. So if your cortisol is spiking, you may find that you've got to use a higher dose to get your testosterone benefits. You may also find, Curtis, that one of the reasons why you're noticing that you feel tired as your weekly dose or your biweekly dose of testosterone starts to drop off, and you notice that you're feeling tired, that could have something to do with your cortisol or stress hormone superseding the effects of the testosterone. So lowering cortisol can also make your testosterone last longer, your drug testosterone last longer, or may support your own testosterone. And there's lots of strategies for lowering cortisol, including keeping your blood sugar stable, but also using things like vitamin A, vitamin E. That can help reduce cortisol levels. GABA, we talked about that earlier. That may have a nice balancing effect on cortisol levels. And melatonin also. So using supplements to help balance out cortisol, in addition to using supplements that support testosterone, may be in your interest.
I will.
Anything else?
Listen to you every day.
I appreciate it. What do you do out there? What kind of work do you do, Curtis? Are you retired? Or?
I'm 69 years old, and I'm
Nice.
retired. I'm disabled, and you don't have time for me to tell you everything.
No, I don't want to know everything, but just you sound like a bright guy. At least you sound like you know your nutritional stuff. So I guess you've been doing stuff for a while.
Well, Yes, and I've got to because I won't say no more.
What kind?
But I've gotten all this information mostly from the Power Hour, George Raleigh, and a bunch of others. But I tell you what, you've been very informative. I'm going to keep listening to you, and I'll take your advice.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your call, Curtis. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, take care, buddy. Hope we helped you out. All right, 844-236-6010 is our number. You're listening to The Bright Side. This is the show where we give you common sense health and nutrition information. It's not anything really dramatic that you're going to hear here and on this program, but it's just common sense kind of stuff. You know, we have this idea that health is complicated, that health is mystical, health is magical and mysterious, and we've got to go to some a medical professional who's been trained and educated in order to understand the body. It's not true. It's a lie. The body is not that complicated. The molecular nature is perhaps complicated, but when it comes to our health and when it comes to how well we feel, that's not complicated. That's simple. And it doesn't require medical intervention. And there's a reason why healthcare is really disease management. Because there's nothing a healthcare professional can do to get you healthy if you're not. That isn't anything that we can do by ourselves. Health is a lifestyle issue, especially when it comes to long-term chronic degenerative diseases. Even if you're dealing with some kind of genetic malady, using all of the strategies we talk about here today can get you to feel better. And that, at the end of the day, is what it's all about. It's not reversing or curing disease. It's feeling better. It's feeling good. It's feeling strong. It's having energy to do things. And that there's no drug in the world that can allow you to feel better. At least not in the long term. You may get some prescription drugs that will make you feel better in the short term, but in the long term, not only are you going to have to deal with side effects, and all drugs come with side effects, but you're going to end up dealing with nutritional deficiencies because your body has to use nutrients to process the drugs. Your body has to use nutrients to detoxify itself. Every prescription drug you take has to be detoxified. Supplements do not have to be detoxified because they are used. And this is the difference between, or one of the main differences between nutrition and drugs. A drug is treated by the body and its cells as a poison. And thus, it has to be cleaned out by the poison control system of the body, which as it is probably overloaded for most of us. Nutrients, on the other hand, feed the body. They are not toxic to cells. They sustain cells. They are the menu, they compose the menu from which a cell eats. And by the way, that menu from which a cell eats is 3.5 billion years old. The cells that we have in our body, the 100 trillion cells in our body, eat the same foods, select the same foods off the same menu that existed for billions of years. Drugs have only been around, prescription drugs, pharmacological drugs, industrially produced pharmacological drugs have only been around for a couple hundred years. We didn't have prescription drugs. We didn't have pharmacological therapy before the beginning or the middle of the 19th century. Oh yeah, they were using herbs perhaps, but even herbs don't have the same kind of toxicity, although they have a little toxicity, but they don't have the same kind of toxicity as pharmacological agents. Health is simple, my friends. If you're dealing with a long-term chronic degenerative disease, employ these ideas that we talk about on this program, and there is no way you are not going to feel better and feel better quickly. Triangle of disease, the fourfold square of health. Triangle of disease, blood sugar system, digestive system, and your adrenal thyroid complex, fourfold square of health. Nutriate, respirate, move, and rest. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Have an awesome, wonderful, beautiful day. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Bye for now.